sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the time, I tell my children every day, I represent you when I walk out this door, and you're representing me.
Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, LaToya Williams. Hey, beautiful people, and welcome again to Queer Conversations. I'm here today with our episode all about lesbian life. I'd like to introduce my guests. Let's start from my right.
Hi, I'm Katrina Johnson-Smith, and you can find me on Instagram.
I'm Joy Young. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook and the World Wide Web.
I'm Domonique Wright-Phillips. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram.
I'm Yeslie Velasquez, and you can find me on Instagram.
So I want to get a little bit more information about all of you. So I'm going to start with Yeslie. Give us a quick intro, a quick introduction.
Quick is not my
Strong suit, we already know.
Okay, well, I was here last time, so let's just make it short. I love painting furniture. I love dogs. I love to live my life. I'm happy-go-lucky, and I'm just here to give love and light.
Awesome.
I love that.
What about you, Domonique?
I'm Domonique. I'm a wife, mom, and lover of fashion, stylist, and designer. And I love my kids.
Yes. Yeah. Oh.
Well, I love my God. I love myself. I love my family, and I love style. That's my biggest thing, style.
And you
Jesus
have an
is-
accessory line, right?
I do. Donnell Vincent. We have some wonderful pieces, so I definitely want everyone to be interested.
All right, I love God, I love my family, and I love music. So I am a musician at my heart. It's not my profession right now, but I do love music, and I love to make people laugh. So.
Awesome. So we're going to dive right into our sizzling subjects. Y'all ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, because you know I'm going to ask you some questions.
Oh,
So my first thing, Cardi B has been in the news lately. She's always in the news, right?
Right.
And we all love Cardi B. She is completely authentic. She lives her life to the fullest. She's always on 10. But have you heard recently that she was shopping on Rodeo Drive in a bathrobe?
She was doing what now?
Shopping on Rodeo Drive in a bathrobe and slippers. Yes.
That sounds like Cardi
It does
B.
sound like Cardi B,
Yeah.
right?
I disagree, it's inappropriate.
Inappropriate, okay. So speak more on the inappropriateness.
I'm waiting for it.
So if I have the opportunity to go to Rodeo Drive, why on earth would I do so in a bathrobe knowing I'm Cardi B? What does that say about me?
It says you Cardi B.
So you think that a level of fame means that you can disregard what actual wear should be out in public?
That's a good point. What do you think, Joy?
If I was worth as much as Cardi B is, I would come out in flip-flops and socks. Like,
And
I'm here,
thongs.
and that's it. I'm here for it. Because, I feel that everyone has the ideal of what you're supposed to be in a certain area. So it's Rodeo Drive, so you're supposed to look Rodeo Drive. No, I'm going to look the way I came out the house, like I'm going to Walmart.
But isn't that a throwback to the whole Pretty Woman? Remember she was on Rodeo, she was trying to shop, and they wouldn't let her in the store because she looked inappropriate. And then she came back dressed all nice and showed them, you should have shopped with me.
Exactly.
So do you think it's kind of the same thing, throwing back to being your authentic self no matter where you are?
Well, I mean, number one, I have a love-hate relationship with Cardi B.
How could you hate Cardi B?
Because as smart as she is and as big as an influence she is for this young generation, why do you make music videos with you twerking on it? Because now we have this young generation of people who think it's okay to go and be a stripper because that's a profession now and it's going to get me to the next level.
That's a whole nother subject.
Right, but you asked me, so I'm telling you why.
Oh, no, she didn't come from, cut.
So,
She did not come for me on my show.
I'm just saying, you asked me a question, I'm telling you why it is, but I'm giving you my reason why I have a love-hate relationship with her. Now, as far as her wearing a robe there, we're not all Cardi B. If you or I or anybody here went on Rodeo Drive in a robe, they're going to look at us like it's just another minority acting crazy.
Call security.
You understand
But then that
what I'm
goes back to
saying
Katrina's point. Does a level of fame give you permission to do what you choose?
Well, I mean, if we make it acceptable, I mean, right now that probably just gained her a gazillion more likes and a bunch of more money. So it really comes down to the people who are doing the following. Because if we weren't following her and giving her all that attention, would she be who she is?
That's a good point.
She would be. Because if everyone remember when Cardi B did an interview earlier in her career, she said, "I'm not your role model." She made that very plain.
clear. Right.
So my thing is, if we provide the role model that we need for our children, they're not looking for that first. Second, she is proving who she is. This is how she started. She started with a bathrobe on, coming out on a strip club. So I mean, what's the difference now, other than the fact that it's Rodeo Drive?
True. So then I want to switch gears a little bit. Since we're talking about professional dress and what should and should not be worn, recently a mother was banned from her child's elementary school for wearing inappropriate clothes, which resulted in the school instituting a dress code policy for parents. Now, I remember back in the day, my grandmother would show up to my school with house dress on, clothespins on the front of her dress. I'm talking about clothespins that you hang the clothes outside on the clothesline. When I got in trouble, her hair would be twisted up in these knots. But they did not ban her from the school. She was coming to invoke some discipline that I needed. So how do we feel now about putting this dress code in place for these parents? No bonnets, no flip-flops, nothing too short, no cleavage showing, things like that.
I've only heard very little about it, but from what I understood, when I heard the hair bond, I was like, thank you. Because I just think sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the time, I tell my children every day, I represent you when I walk out this door, and you're representing me. So if I come to your school, where now your colleagues are, how does that look for them to see me in a hair bonnet, shower cap, flip-flop, robe? It just doesn't pan out. And then it sets the wrong tone for them. Are you going to do this with your children later in life? You know, it's to each his own. I try not to judge in general, but I'm not going to lie. When I see the bonnets, even in Walmart,
Or in the airport.
when I see just the lounge pants, all I think is, and they're going to get right back in bed with that. Oh my God, all that outside is going to be inside.
You sound like my wife with the outside
No,
clothes
I'm
and
so
inside
serious.
clothes.
But you know, in the world of alpha, people see me first and hear me second.
Right.
So if I'm going and presenting myself, they're going to see the bonnet. They're going to see she's not serious about anything.
Exactly.
They're not going to hear the words that's coming out my mouth. So if you see me in this, you're going to automatically have this ideal of who I am. So if I'm coming out to make a complaint or a situation, you're going to think I'm that hood parent, not the parent that's going to shut this entire school down. So I 100% agree with when you're presenting yourself to, especially for your child, you should be setting an example. Put on the correct dress. You should not be showing up with flip-flops on to the point where lounge clothes, flip-flops, hair bonnet. To me, when I look at it, I don't think you took a bath this morning. I'm being honest.
So now we're speaking to the person's hygiene.
It does, and also embarrassment. So we remember being embarrassed when Big Mama, grandmother came and she was dressed inappropriately. So why would we want to turn around and do the same thing? So for me, it's a level of teaching them how to dress professionally, because when they begin to look for a career, they won't be able to go there with their bonnet and flip-flops on.
Now, what I can say is that I stopped acting up. Well, for the most part. Because I did not want my grandmother to come back up there and embarrass me. So it was a way to curb my poor behavior. I got in line.
But I have a 16-year-old at home who is fearless, okay? It doesn't matter what I do. I could show up in there in any kind of way. I could beat her in front of the principal. She is fearless. And that's the generation we have now, kids who are fearless. And some of it doesn't matter how much you instill, because I believe in good fear. It doesn't matter how much you instill in them. Some of them, we just in a whole different generation. It's a whole different world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sometimes you can't control that. And with that being said, I want to know, so what would be, I guess, the appropriate hairstyle for somebody like me? Because you're somebody who has to put on a bonnet.
To sleep in.
To sleep in, yeah, that's right. Somebody who has to put on a bonnet to sleep in, right? And they just walked out with a bonnet on. The equivalence of that for me would be I literally just grabbed it and put it in a crazy bun and hair's falling all over the place. So what would be the circumstances for me? You understand what I'm saying to you?
I think so. But I think it's a little different. So a messy bun for you would still be cute. You know what I mean? You wouldn't look like you're not complete. You're not dressed. You're not all the way put together. A messy bun. Whereas with a bonnet, because I've slept in this bonnet, it looks like I still have on my night clothes. I haven't prepared myself for the day. That's what it looks like. Now, there are certain circumstances where you're rushing out of the house, a child is having an emergency. Okay, you yeah,
That's
you might
so
not
cool.
be all the way together. But if I'm going for a parent-teacher conference,
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
or I'm going to go pick my child up
If
from
you
school
had the
because they
time to
misbehaved,
prepare.
yeah.
But also with the bonnet, what about those purple coil things that you wrap your hair up to make them curly, and the clips that people wear? To me, all of that works in the same.
It's just
Why
like you're not dressed.
Exactly.
You're not dressed.
Just if I could add on to what you were saying about Big Mama coming. To me, and back in the day, that was that sense of urgency when you saw grandma like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's no sense of urgency because you're sitting home and you're getting this phone call and you're knowing you're on your way into that school building. No, I just don't agree with it. Messy buns and all. I mean, a messy bun is a messy bun. A messy bun could be just somebody else's good bun. But no, seriously.
Very
Because
true,
I love
very
messy
true.
buns.
Right.
But a whole hair bonnet looking like you just stepped out of the shower. I mean, and that's exactly what I think what you said. You know, it looks like you just rolled on out of bed and said, let's get to it.
Yeah. So we're all in agreement of the dress code. That's what it boils down to. So I want to ask you guys a question pertaining to, it's a sizzle subject, but it's about lesbian life. So the Met Gala happened recently. Yes for the Met. Yes for the Met. And Janelle Monáe.
Oh, Janelle
was
Monáe.
Janelle Monáe was there. Loved her dress with the
Yes.
flashing, the eyelash.
Yeah.
So apparently they were in an after party, and her and Lupita Nyong'o were really affectionate towards each other. And now it's all over the blogs that they're in a relationship. That they're together.
Has it been confirmed?
It has not been confirmed because Janelle Monáe is actually in a relationship with someone else. But this is my question. So people automatically assumed that they were in a relationship because of Janelle's sexuality and her being affectionate to another woman. Is that something that happens on a regular basis? I have my opinion, but I want to hear yours. So because you've identified as, you know, that you are lesbian or bisexual and you have an affectionate relationship with another person that's of the same sex or the opposite sex, is it immediately assumed that you're in a relationship with that person?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, speak to it.
I think a lot of times because even I have a sister who's gay, and she's more not the feminine side. And I think when we would be out at dinner or if we even just going to the mall, it's assumed you get the looks, you get the stares. Now the thing is, how much attention do you pay to that? I really don't care. However, you can always tell the person like,
Yeah, they're looking.
it's always it's
side-eyed.
a certain look that they give, and you know, and it's not my place, nor is it your business for me to explain to you who my sister
Yeah,
is.
that this is really my sister.
Right.
I think in a straight world, if they see two women together,
What's
they're gonna,
that?
yeah, they're gonna see two women together, two men together, they're gonna automatically assume whether you're sister, brother, cousins. In the gay world, if you, a stud and a femme, can be close friends, and people may assume, but two femmes, it's just like, okay, you're just friends in the gay world. I see two femmes together, and they can be hugging on each other. I'm not gonna assume that they're together. I'm gonna think it's cute. And I'm gonna be like, I'm paying attention because that's attractive to me. But if I'm with friends with a femme girl and we're laying on each other or they're laying on me, they're gonna assume that we're dating. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
which one, you know?
Yeah, you definitely get into the labels. So when I was in the dating, I'm happily married. Boom, David shot. But when
I like that.
when I was in
Save
the
the
dating
marriage.
field, I would, because I'm attracted to femmes, and I am feminine presenting but masculine of center, which is how I describe myself. And so I would get hit on by studs, or femmes would ignore me because I don't look like what they look
Okay.
like. So we're kind of going into identity. So for me, it's absolutely normal for Lupita to show affection because it's just affection. It doesn't
Right.
matter what they look like.
Right.
It's just so odd how the blogs just immediately took that and put them in a relationship. It was all up and down my timeline.
But remember, she did when the other cast from Black Panther. She was affectionate with Michael B. Jordan.
Yes.
She was affectionate with another person.
T'Challa.
Yeah.
Wakanda Forever.
I mean, it was everything, but everybody assumed.
Yes, that she was in a relationship with them. So it kind of speaks to, you know, the presence of the media and immediately them coupling certain people because they're affectionate or because they're seen more than once together.
Right.
Well, I think that the world has this perception of the the LGBTQ community, that we're just very fluid with each other. You know what I mean? Like, you know, especially after programs like the L Word and it was, what was it, Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark. You know, they show like there's no monogamy. It was just very like, I'm with you, I'm with you, I'm with you, we're all together. You know what I mean? Right. So I think that people now have this perception of us. Like my wife's childhood friend, every time she sees her, so what's going on in the lesbian world? Did you sleep with somebody? Oh, tell me all about it. But why can't we just be with one person? And I do agree that even within our world, when we see you know, a feminine anybody and a masculine anybody, we have these assumptions, you know what I mean? And it's not always like that. Like, I'm a very, very touchy-feely person. My closest friends know that about me. Yeah, Katrina knows, you know, I have a friend who, before she was married, we were really close. I mean, like, she used to be a roommate, and I used to go and get in her bed, and we would watch TV together. Like, it was no big deal. I'd fallen asleep in her room, in her bed, and my wife knew about it, but she knows me. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But people who see that perceive something else.
I think that's looking at it from a heterosexual's perspective. I think the way society has conditioned us, we kind of think that the feminine and the masculine go together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I
you
agree.
see a masculine presenting person with a feminine presenting person, you immediately think they must be in a relationship. Right. And I think that also speaks to the fact that a lot of people feel like men and women can't be friends. So if you have a masculine presenting person with a feminine presenting person, then they're thinking that they can't be friends. They have to have some type of relationship. But on that note, we are going to take a break. We have to pay some bills. I will see you guys in a few minutes after this commercial break. Welcome back to Queer Conversations. We are about to get into our deep topics with my lesbian panel. So I'm going to ask each of you to identify yourselves. So we are clear that we're all lesbians, correct?
Yes.
Correct. But I'm going to ask you, how do you identify in the lesbian community? Does that make sense? Okay. So we'll start with Katrina.
Okay. So I identify as a female presenting person who's masculine, etc.
Well, back in the day, I think we're obsolete now, but I'm softly dominant. No, I mean, you know, most people say soft stuff, but I don't think that exists anymore. So
Well, it's how you tell yourself. How do you present yourself? Like, what do you call yourself?
Well, I would say a soft stuff because I have a lot of feminine ways, but at the end of the day, I'm masculine, aggressive. I don't know.
Okay. She Joy.
Yeah. This is what
Yes, I like
Domonique?
I'm Butch. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, shit.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I really, we've had this discussion before. I really don't get into labels, but for sake of the question, I would say I'm feminine.
Okay.
Okay. Yeslie?
I agree with you. I don't do labels, but I guess we're here. So I would kind of be like Katrina, like feminine on the outside, but masculine on the inside, because I like to build things.
Oh my goodness. So she has a tool belt somewhere tucked underneath her dress.
More than a tool belt, okay?
Oh, well, all right. I ain't mad at you. Now, when I was talking to these guests individually and trying to compile this panel, I did not realize that we all are married.
Yes, we are.
Okay, all of us, are married. And I didn't realize that a lot of us have co-parenting and ex relationships and things like that. So I want to get into the co-parenting discussion. So has it been difficult? I guess difficult is a good word. When you've left a relationship and you still have a bond with the child, or going into a new relationship where the child has a bond to a prior parent. So I want to speak to Katrina because I remember you and I talked about it briefly before.
So my ex-wife, I raised 3 of the children. I'm still very close to one. And as a matter of fact, luckily, I don't have to deal with the mother, but I do still spend time with her.
Let's be honest.
And I still have a relationship with the child. And one of the things that I learned in lesbian relationships is that it's easy to pick up children and then to dump them and get left off. And I did not want to be that person, so I'm still a part of her life. And when I married my current wife, there was already a child. And so I had to work through that phase of life as well. But all is well. I still have 2 beautiful children that I love and adore and that love me.
Awesome. Joy, have you experienced the co-parenting issue? I believe so, because you have a son.
Actually, I have more than
Oh, excuse me?
Yeah, so I came into a situation with children. So it was difficult to navigate through because a lot of them was already older.
Okay.
My wife has 5 children. And I only talk about one because he's the youngest.
He's the baby.
Yeah, he's the baby. And so it was difficult on my aspect because I had to learn where I fit in with the discipline. I'm very big on discipline.
Right.
And when children are out of order, it's like, okay, they need to be corrected. And we never came to a common ground on how they was going to get corrected from my voice. Because what I believe is different from what she believed, and it was a world of difference. So we had a very big issue when it comes down to the discipline of the children. Now we're on a very much better path because she understands how, she leaves that up to me now.
Okay.
So when I take away a phone, I forget that I took away a phone and you won't get it back for 8 months. So, so we had to come to a boundary on where, I'm not punching your child, I'm not hitting your child. And she had to be confident in that the well-being is still, sacred to me as it is to her.
Okay.
So we just had to come up with those boundaries.
What about you, Domonique? Because I believe you and your wife share
We have a total of 6.
6 kids. Okay.
5 are from my previous marriage, and 1, her son. And coming together, it was a little difficult because of where she came in. I was already in my independent mode, mom mode, and her coming in, it was a breeze, to be honest with you. She's very much like me as far as the discipline aspect, timeouts. Our kids range from 24 to almost 9 now. So with her, we have the same values, same core values, family values. I think the hardest part for me was hearing someone else
discipline your child.
Discipline them. And not to say someone else is like she's another figure, but even hearing another person when, again, I was already in my independent zone of this has been me and it's only been me. And then it can be a little difficult even for the kids to adapt to that new way of, that new way of having another disciplinarian in the house. But I don't even like to use the word disciplinarian because then it comes, across as tactful towards the kids, like we're in the room, like, yeah, we're going to do this, yeah, we're going to take that phone, give it back in 2 weeks. They don't even know. But no, we do come together. We always, make our minds up together. There's nothing separate. Did you know that he did this? What are we going to do? What is our resolution for this? And that's how it's always been.
Okay.
Now, kids may not like it, but it works out great for us.
But they just live with us.
Right.
What about you, Yeslie?
Well, I don't know if mine would count because neither my wife or I have any previous kids of our own. But we adopted our niece from my wife's sister, my sister-in-law, and we raised her. But it's basically co-parenting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think, some of the things that I've heard a lot about is, and I don't mean to leave the feminine presenting women out, but I hear a lot about the masculine presenting parent co-parenting children when these kids have only known a male figure and how that has impacted the balance in the household and that relationship. Have either of you experienced that?
You want to go first?
I have not experienced that, so.
The fortunate thing is all of the fathers are very active in
good.
their lives because she was married previously, so they're very active. Unfortunately, only one really has a difficult time adjusting to our situation, and that's the youngest. And because we have, me and the 6-year-old, I call him my boy, we have this love relationship. You would think we were in love with each other. And he takes that home.
I see.
And so his father has to hear about it, understanding that I came in when your relationship
Was
broke up and your
ending.
family ended,
Right.
and I came into the situation, and your son absolutely loves me. And then, you know, and you can do the math. Me and my now wife has been dealing for 10 years, and he's 6. So, you know, dealing with a situation like that.
Oh, y'all had some overlap.
Exactly. So
Okay.
dealing with a situation like that, and me dealing with a 6-year-old that looks exactly like his father, and dealing with a father who don't like joy, you know, we had to learn how to say, okay, you can't talk bad about his mother had to take that stand. You can't talk bad about her to him because he loves her.
Right, right.
And he's going to talk about me, and he'll FaceTime me in a second. And so we had to go through those, and it was difficult.
So the father of that child, is he having a difficult time adjusting to the fact that it's 2 women in the household, or because the marriage broke up and she's moved on, period?
Both.
Okay.
He had a difficult time adjusting to both, and because his ideal is 2 women, 2 men, no, never, you're going to hell tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And so when you're dealing with a 6-year-old, well, my dad said that you can't get married because you're not a boy and that's not a girl, so you have to marry me, Joy. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't marry you.
Oh, that's adorable.
And I mean, thank you for the proposal, you know, well, gummy bear, and that's fine. You know, so we have to be able to, and you know, this could be hypocritical in some eyes. I don't push our lifestyle on him because I don't want him to be confused at this age. I want him to be able to identify how he wants to identify and grow into that, because some people, like, you know, I've seen some couples, they're like, well, we're too much. No, I'm Joy. And how you see me is how you see me.
Through a child's eyes.
Exactly. I don't try to take that from him and force it. Well, you have 2 moms. No. It's how you see us. And so, and that's the healthy environment we try to give him, because we understand his father is his life.
Right.
And he's his
And
primary
he gave
caretaker.
him life, right.
And he's his primary caretaker. He only comes with us on the weekends.
Oh.
So we can't interrupt.
Right, what's
his
going on
teaching
his,
and derail
right,
how he
right.
feels.
Oh, I'm so sorry. To piggyback on that, so we have a situation where my ex actually abandoned all of us, like just like a
Left.
thief in the night, just walked away. And so, yeah, there was some, you know, I can't say it was a hard time, but, you know, there was a lot of growing that we had to do. So to follow up on what you were saying about that healthy environment and not interrupting things, it's the opposite for us. We like I said, we have the 5 kids. We have our second oldest son is an athlete all the way around. He's like been really doing well in track. So anyway, Dad wants back in.
Oh.
So, you know, I prayed on it. Now, this has been for several years. I mean, this has been over the course of going on 5 years at this point, absent all the way. There's no restraining order. There's not a baby mama keeping you from your kids. It's none of those things. And I've always, hey, listen, I've told the kids, if you ever want to reach out, the door's
Absolutely.
open. You can absolutely, I'll, you know, let him, you know, call you, or well, we'll call him. I'm present, but we can have a conversation. I don't want you to ever think that I'm keeping him from you. Well, moving forward, that happens, but every time he would just let them down. So what happens is you're interrupting what we've already established with these children. It's almost like a robot. You get them where you want them to be, and here you come, the holiday dad, and want to be, you know, I'm going to come around for the holidays, and then the kids get excited, and then you like that because you're a narcissist. So now the kids are excited, and then you let them down. Here we are picking up the pieces again. So this time around, I say, you know what? It's going to have to be a come to Jesus moment for me, because we're not doing this.
Right.
My wife, and you know, she's very open. I may not like you as a person, as the man that I now see you to be, but you are their dads, and they all have the same dad. So long story short, my son, at a very young age, middle school, he's still in middle school, but it started in elementary, he didn't want to use his name anymore, his surname. So he didn't ask me. He just started writing my maiden name, right? So the teachers were like, "Did your name change? Something going?" I was like, "No," and I would not say anything. not much go into it with the school. But then it got to be, he was just doing, then when we got married, he Wright-Phillips. So now he's writing his
Wright-Phillips,
name. Now
right.
the other kids are doing it. So long story short, he goes to a track meet. He's back now. Well, temporarily he was back. So he comes to the track meet, and when they announce him as the winner, he's hearing so-and-so Wright-Phillips.
Wow.
And he instantly is agitated and reverts right back and tells him he's going to the car and showed him exactly what he's been showing him for the last 5 years, his back. So it's like, how do you come in and interrupt something that you didn't establish? You created the monster and why he changed his name, and then blame me, you know? And I hope I'm not even going into too much, if there is too much, but
No.
just to see that, like that type of interruption, like you go to his track meet and now you're questioning him about his name at the meet.
You two are on the flip side of the same situation. Basically. So, and I respect the fact that you are trying to preserve his home life and not enforce certain things on him as a child. But then at the same time, you have to clean up the mess when this other person is coming in to disrupt. You know, and I remember years ago, you know, as a single mom and I was raising my children, and my biggest thing was I had to put a stop to certain things. Only because I always had to be the one picking up the pieces and cleaning up and telling them, no, it's not you. You're not the reason daddy's not coming.
Right.
You know, it's because of whatever. He had to work today or he had, you know what I mean? Just reinforcing the positive things in their life and letting them know that it wasn't them. And I reached a point where I was like, well, no, I'm not going to let them know that you're coming on Saturday because I don't want Saturday to come and you're not here. So if you show up Saturday, it'll be a surprise for everybody. How about that?
And that's where we are.
Exactly. Bring a balloon, bring a cake, because we might not see you again until next year. Okay, so I want to switch subjects a little bit because we are married and happily married. So how do we feel about lesbians getting married so quickly? I feel it's quickly. I'll take that back. I own that. I feel like it's quick. It's quick.
What's quick to you?
Okay, that's a very good question. Thank you. You know what? Girl, don't come for my job. Okay. So I've seen some people that I'm going to, you know, allow them to remain nameless are dating a couple months, a month, they move in together. 6 months they engage and 9 months they married.
Isn't that the running lesbian joke though?
And then 3 months later, they're divorced or separated and they talk bad about each other on Facebook and each other's mama. That's, to me, I think that's a little quick. But I want to get you guys' opinion.
So that was me.
I love it.
So I was like, okay, she's talking about me. So I moved to Baltimore in August. Started dating my wife in October, proposed in March. We were married by July. 3 years later, we're still married. But actually, we talked about getting married without anybody knowing in November. So a month after we met, I was like, this is it. She said, this is it. We were going to just dip off to the courthouse and get married. So I'm of the opinion, if you know, you know. And when you know, you know. And I knew. And I still know.
Right.
Aww.
And that's facts.
So,
But 3 years later, it's not 3 months later and y'all trying to get divorced and talking about each other mama. So
yeah, we're still in this game.
I think it's a lot of it is because we're women, we're so emotional. You know what I mean? Like we're in love, and it's like, oh, I love this person. This is, you know. But I also think Katrina, because my wife and I, we also moved extremely quickly. But I think too the factor in here is you've been married before, so you've already been through that where you know I'm not doing that again. I know what to not do this time. You know, because that's how it was for me. I was in this long relationship. We weren't married, but it was this long relationship where we just moved too quickly. And by the time my wife came around, it was like, okay, well, I'm not doing that again. So, but my wife and I, we waited a long time. We weren't in a rush. We weren't in a rush to get married.
when you say a long time, how long is a long time?
We were dating 4 years. We were living together within the first year, but we dated for 4 years. And we actually, at one point in the beginning, we hated each other.
Now, were you engaged during those 4 years?
No.
Oh, so how long after you were engaged did you get married?
Another 2 years.
My goodness. Okay.
Yeah, because for me, it was, it wasn't even it's going to sound weird, but it was, I had to be sure for myself.
Right.
Not to be sure that that's the one, because I knew she was the one.
Right.
I had to be sure it was for me, because it took so long for me to find me, and then to have to share me.
you.
It was
Yeah.
like, I don't
Okay.
want to lose me.
Right.
So it was a dilemma within myself. Like, I didn't even want to announce it. I didn't want to talk about it. I cried for like a whole month straight. But she knows me, so she understood. You know what I mean? I didn't want to wear the ring or anything. It was just, it was something for me. It
Right.
wasn't
So you just
her.
wanted to make sure that your identity was going to be preserved in this marriage.
Absolutely.
And that's important. I think a lot of times we as women, whether you're masculine presenting or feminine, we tend to lose ourselves in these relationships. We
Yes.
fall so madly and so
Yes.
deeply in love that, you know, you just, everything is roses and sunshine and all of that. And you forget that
Yes.
you're this own person.
Exactly.
I mean, I can say that my wife and I, we got married about 2 years. 2 years, I want to say, after we met. But for us, we went on our first date and we were together from that day forward.
Yeah.
Absolutely together.
Know about that?
I think I'm on a different spectrum when it comes down to that, because I didn't fall in love to get married. That wasn't the intent. I married her because we were equally yoked in the areas that needed to be there.
Right.
That falling in love thing, you can get there. But if I know that we're compatible because we can deal with each other outside of the bedroom, outside of the things that made us fall in love, as long as our monies are matching and our conversations are matching and our paths are matching, that is why I married. It wasn't because I'm in love with you. I can fall in love with Jill Scott right now because I am.
Right.
Call us,
Yeah.
Jill.
And so, you know, that wasn't a reason. And plus, I think, especially in the lesbian community, we want the ceremony. We don't want the marriage.
Well,
That's
I mean,
why it goes so fast.
I tend to agree, but not everybody.
Right.
But I will say a lot of folks are really in love with this wedding.
That's it. It's the
exactly.
ceremony. It's the
It's the
attention,
wedding.
It's the colors. It's
Yes.
the everything. But that's
Being
only
fabulous.
15 minutes.
Right.
But after those 15 minutes, are you still arguing for 15 minutes?
Right.
Or can you get over it, heal, and talk about it
about
in
it.
15 minutes and move on with your life? So you have to be able to see which one is that balance. I'm not, you know, I love my wife, but I love everything that she brings me, everything that I bring her, and the table we built together.
Amen.
I'm not bringing the table, you bringing the chairs. We built that table
I
together,
fully
and we
agree.
put each chair around it. And that's what's important to make sure that the reason why I waited so late.
Right.
This is my first marriage. This is her third. She had to learn. And that's her story. She
Right.
had to learn what it was about. Me, I knew what I wanted in a marriage. Because, and I'm, you know, taking it to a religious one, I knew my marriage to God, what was that about? And that's what I built my marriage around.
Right.
Okay. I mean, and I like that you brought that up because I do want us to talk a little bit about the spirituality for marriage. And once again, when I compiled this group of people, I did not think about the fact that they're all faith-based in some shape or form.
Right.
So I know that Katrina is a minister of music, but you also have a church that you preach at regularly,
Yes.
correct?
Yes. So I'm actually a founder of a ministry, and I'm an actual minister, not just a minister of music.
Oh, I know that's right. Correct me. And then there's Joy, who is an old school preacher's kid,
I'm an ordained elder now.
ordained elder.
Yes.
And then you and your wife both are coming up in ministry at MCC
Vision of Hope.
Vision of
Yes.
Hope in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Right.
And I know that Yeslie is coming up in the Holy Ghost as we speak.
Yes.
Amen. 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 So all of us have this really strong spiritual background. I think that's just the Lord working, you know, to have us all come together. So when you talk about being equally yoked and, you know, coming together with someone and understanding what your commitment is to God, how has that played a part in the foundation of your marriage as well?
I want Domonique to go first because she's been trying to talk.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know.
Have I been ignoring you? I apologize.
No. It's well, for me, my wife is a preacher's kid too. So, and I grew up Roman Catholic, so that's like, whew, it's a lot. So being at Vision of Hope, being as non-denominational, is great. But we are both, like I said, like you said, equally yoked in that. Tomorrow, if I can even just go back really quickly, tomorrow is our 4-year anniversary of actually re-meeting again at the wine festival. So Yay. So, but yeah, we dated over 20 years, and even then, 20 years, I was 19, she was 21. It was definitely, of course, you know, the visual is what caught my eye
Yes,
first.
they gotta look good, child.
Right.
They got to look good, honey. They got to look good.
No, I understand. I agree with you too, but I'm saying for me and for her, you know, it was the visual.
Because I'm gonna tell you real quick. When I came up the stairs for our first date, and I looked, thank you.
Yeah. Really? Yeah. It means something. You stay and you stay there.
Yes.
I didn't see
Yes.
it. I saw your face.
I
Yes.
didn't like her when I met her.
Oh.
And she knows it. This isn't. Thank you, Katrina. This isn't taboo. She's not gonna be like, oh my god. She knows, as she always says. But she's still here. I didn't like her. I wasn't attracted to her. She wasn't my type. I never dated somebody like her. I mean, everything about her was like, no. Like when we went on our first date, she used to drive this Lexus truck, right? So I called my childhood friend at the time, and I'm in the back, like I'm whispering against the window. I'm like, girl, she drives a van. I can't date her, girl. She's driving a van. And my friend on the other side, she's like, Yeslie, she doesn't drive a van. Stop making excuses and go on the date.
Oh, fine. Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
You out? Did you ask her out, or she asked you out?
Yeah, Alexis did. Yeah, Alexis
okay.
did. Yeah, because I didn't like her.
Oh my goodness.
And she's
Just be
adamant about that.
I'm just
So,
being honest.
since we're gonna segue into the dating, I apologize for interrupting you
no,
again.
you're fine.
So you said that your wife asked you out first, and you were not attracted at all. At all. So what made the dating experience worth moving forward into a relationship?
Because we were already friends.
Okay.
We were already friends, and so we had already established that friendship. So when she told me that she had feelings for me first, and I was very honest with her, and I said, "Listen, I'm not ready." I was really scared because I just came out of this awful relationship. So I was like, I'm not ready, and she was like, "Okay, I'll wait." And she waited.
Aww.
Sure enough, she did. You know, there was one point where, girl, I'm spilling all the beans, okay? At one point, she was like, she was like, she asked me, she said, why now? Why not now? You know, and I told her, I said, because I'm broken into a million pieces and I don't know how to put it all together. You know, and she was like, well, I got glue and I got plenty of time. And sure enough, she was the one who,
So good.
and not just in the corny way, like I'm putting your pieces together. No, it was literally
Like taking that time and loving you past all of that brokenness.
Yes, I never knew somebody who actually listened to me.
Oh.
Lexus would sit there and not say a word, not be talking, yeah, and my childhood, and then I would come back and be like, oh, you haven't said a word, I'm sorry. And I'm thinking like, she's not even listening. She would come right back and be like, oh, but you said it, and I was like,
Oh,
whoa, she's listening to me? Like somebody listens to me? You know what I mean?
that's
It matters.
awesome.
Right, and so.
Now, I do know that you and your wife met in church.
Jamel, we met in church.
Okay.
And she asked me out.
That's my sister. Wait, Jamel asked you out?
Yeah, she asked me out.
Let me find out.
Totally see that.
I would have never thought that.
No,
And I know Nelly. I would have never thought that.
And
I
it
didn't
was
see
a
that.
joint date. It was the oddest first date ever. It was me, the baby, and her mother. But we went, and she took me to go see The War Room because she thought I was a good preacher, and I would really enjoy that movie.
Oh
And
my
so it
goodness.
was, our first date was, she asked me out, and then it kind of rolled from there. But in our marriage, one of the things that we set up is we love God first. Let me
Right.
see how you love God, and then as I love God, as you love God, then obviously we can love each other.
Right.
That is so awesome. Now, how did you and Lachey meet?
It's so long ago. We met, but you know,
child.
but it's been a long time, and we met in some crazy situation. But what made me know that that was my wife was the fact that I love the faith in her. That was the most attractive thing. If you can believe God with knowing that you're walking on air, you got me on that one.
Yeah.
Her faith and the fact that, and I always say, and I'll make this real quick, when all that I am responds to who he is, I love her God. And the fact that everything in her responds to who he is, you got me all that. I can get around everything.
That's so
else.
powerful.
Yeah, and so
That is so powerful.
and that's what makes it to me.
Well, I met my wife on POF.
What is POS?
Yes, plenty of fish. It is a dating site. I was going to ask y'all, but yeah, and I did, and it.
Married.
It works.
Thank you. Now, this is the other thing. So I want to get into, some more intimate conversations. So, like, one of the things that has been my motto ever since I was in college was, if you see me naked, we go together. Let's be clear. I'm not a randomly having sex type of person. That's the long explanation to that,
Right.
So if we have reached a place that we're going to be intimate with each other, we are also having a conversation about being in a relationship and being exclusive, right? So, I'm not going to say how long or quick it was for us to reach that point, but we was going together. Okay, so did you all have that same type of conversation or similar conversation, or was it kind of casual until you decided to lock it down?
Pre-thought or after?
So you was going into it like, we finna make that happen.
No, I mean, it is, well, with Lachey, it was different.
Okay.
Everybody else,
Domonique, why don't you speak to that? Because this one right here.
Well, the first time around, we met, we exchanged pager numbers.
Oh, girl, you telling your age in the major.
I was 0. That comes before 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, no, seriously, it was my best friend was bringing her over. She was like, hey, what are you doing? Can we, me and my cousin stop by? Sure, yeah, absolutely. She came and I was like, oh, okay. So she was like, hey, if you ever want to, get out the house or whatever, just, give me, just hit me up. And I'm like, okay. So as soon as they left, I hit her up.
I know that's
She came right back. We went to Fells Point and talked, we were together all night and every single day thereafter. And we were just, I've never met anybody like this. So of course then the breakup happened. And then, 20 years later, here we are again at the wine festival, re-meeting. How's married life? I wouldn't know, I'm single.
Oh.
Bingo!
That was a segue. That was a segue, right?
It's my segue. Absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. Yes.
And so when this time around, so then we it's same thing every day together. We didn't, intermingle the kids, just yet, but when we did, it was just great. It was like a month or two later, fast. She asked me, "Is your soul ready? Are you ready? Is your soul ready?"
Yeah. This is what I'm talking about.
That's a book. That's going to preach
We're
tomorrow.
writing it.
Yeah, that's going to preach tomorrow.
It'll be on Amazon.com.
Right. Somebody going to bring that.
No, but really, it's amazing. I'm married to an amazing woman. I really am, and I thank God for her. She waited for me as well.
Now, this is my other thing, because I know I'm getting cues and we have to wrap up, but I have to ask this question because it happens to me on a regular basis. So, I'm an out lesbian, right? And I'm very proud. Rainbow stuff at my desk at work, right?
Exactly.
But heterosexual folks that I come in contact with will immediately think that I'm attracted to every woman in the room because I'm a lesbian. And I know we talked about this before. How do you deal with that type of situation? I know what I say, but I want to hear what you all say. Come on, Dominique. Come on, Dominique.
I mean, only because I really haven't actually had anyone, really come to me like, hey, what do you think? I mean, I've seen it. I'll see the look over at me or the once over, like, what do you think? But I really don't pay it I don't give it any life. I just can't, because once you do, they think they got you now. They want to know your whole life story. Yeah.
I mean, as you go to Starbucks and there's many things on the menu, I like caramel macchiato with soy, hot venti. Thank you. That's my flavor. That's my taste.
Right.
Don't think my taste bud is for everything.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I say.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've said on a regular basis. I'm not really interested in everybody here. I'm only interested in that one.
Exactly.
And on that note, I am wrapping up. On that note, we are going to commercial. We'll be right back after this. Talk to you in a bit. Welcome back to Queer Conversations. I would like to thank our guests for coming out this evening for our lesbian talk. Katrina, Joy, Domonique, and Yeslie, it has been a good time and a pleasure to have you guys here again. So once again, I would like you to follow, like, and share our YouTube channel. And remember, we are changing the world one conversation at a time. Good night, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in to Queer Conversations. This is our last episode of the season. This is our season finale. So remember to like, share, and comment on this particular episode. Follow us on all of our social media and look out for updates as we prepare for season 3. Remember, we are changing the world one queer conversation at a time. And we're closing this season with a performance from Be Free Fridays, which is every last Friday of every month at UB Blake in Baltimore City, Maryland. Thank you again for tuning in. I'll see you next season.
I wrote a love poem, so this is it. All right? This might be the last time any of you ever see me perform a love poem, so don't ask for this shit. Like if I see y'all at another show and y'all like do the love poem, I'm gonna be like, why? You don't understand Nate's in the audience and Tyson, all these love poem ass niggas in the audience. All right. I've been trying to change our science, and I think I can. I've been asking God to turn my heart into Play-Doh so I can mold it into something that only beats for you. To turn my hands into time travel, coming in contact with everything that you touch until I am pulled into every moment we spent together. I don't want to make love to you, I want to make love out of you. Like your skin holds the sustenance to salvation. If I could alter a church altar, I would make it a place of worship for your image, and God would not call this idolatry. She would say, it's past due. I want to write a Bible made up of love poems about you, like how I built an ark, filled it with 2 types of every wedding ring, and then flooded the earth with tears until you said yes. Or how I climbed Mount Sinai to hear God's voice from burning bush, and then called it fake because it didn't sound like you, because you're my religion. I wish to whisper my feelings into your bed sheets until you can lay in my love like a field of flowers. I aim to fire the sun, because he don't shine for me like you do, and I need my sun rays, and wouldn't it be nice if you could raise the sun? Because some days, I be thinking about your womb, how after all these years it's still calling for me, like a package with no due date, like something that will arrive and change everything, because you got me feeling like elementary school. That time I stepped into a hallway, closed my eyes and said, make me the perfect girl, and when I opened them, there you were, better than anything I could ever imagine, and I had to ask, did you close your eyes and dream of me too? I always wanted to be your reflection. Wanted you to look in my eyes and see yourself looking back. I want to grab a star, hold it in my palms and tell you they say that this is the reflection of something that died years ago. Like I thought my heart did. But there you go, grabbing it out of the sky and showing me that it can shine. Now we a paradox, or a pair of clocks, or really just the hands beating at 12 o'clock, twice a day so we can steal time. Know that I'll never see you again, but there's still time, and I know a kiss from you makes time stand still. And I'm reminded that you are a gift, because I love the time we have together in this present, in this past, in this future, and if ever you are alone, go outside to a distant shore and kiss the star. I will kiss it back, turning astronomy into chemistry. I told you, I could change our science.
So the name of this piece is called This Is Too Much. I've never heard of a black man running too fast until I tripped over your melanin. When I looked up, God had taken on a form I had never seen before. It was you. All along, the queen who I just knew was going to be my happily ever after. But I treated our food like something you put in the microwave because I needed it right now, in that moment. See, reheated fries never tasted the same. But when I went to taste your juices just to make sure you were right for me, somewhere deep down inside something was off. But I was ready to mate. I was prepared to eat. I was ready to mate. The food on my plate looked so good, I was ready to lick it straight. even though God told me to wait. He said, slow down, what I have for you ain't going nowhere. But I proceeded to stuff my face. I hurdled past the obstacles of I'm not ready. Slid past out I'm not a mom yet, and yet the signs were there. I just didn't pay any attention. And now there's a hole in our retention, and I'm talking to you with best intentions with a ring on your finger, but more regrets than a man in jail on death row. I regressed then, hoping I would have another test in time, however I was too late. I ran for my blessings when all I had to do was walk by faith. And see, you walk into my life by faith, however I was too late because I needed you right now. And no, you didn't leave me out to drown, but when praises go up, blessings come down, and you were the only angel I just couldn't keep around. See, I crowned you too early. I cut your wings like a bowl cut. Dimmed your halo when I yelled out Alexa, turn down the lights because you shine so bright that the thought of losing you made me bring you down to my level. And we were moving too fast and your friend said you was a rebel. We had our foot all the way down on the gas pedal, not realizing we were about to crash, so you realized what you realized, that we needed to slow down because we were living real lives. So when I finally came to, I was hoping that we would become one instead of two. And peace.
Somebody say God is love. God is love. Say God is love. God is love. Say in the beginning was the Word. In the beginning was the Word. Oh, you want to say that part? Okay. Poor instructions in my part, but I appreciate your enthusiasm. He's about to go home with me. You know, put groupies out this bitch. So in the beginning was the Word. And the Word was God. And the Word was with God. So, when I'm speaking these words, this isn't poetic rhetoric, this is me trying to get back to the sentence from which I came. Love. Love is 2 or 3 different more concrete emotions all rolled into one mass combined with flesh and speech to create man. Because in the beginning was the Word. And the Word was love. Because God is love. Somebody say God is love. God is love. So I love you the way God does. Like forever. Like no end. Because God, or love, is infinite. And we were made in this image of infinite love. So in a search to find myself, not only had I never left, but I have been looking in the eye of I the entire time, just waiting on me to speak the words so that God in me can be revealed. This is self-love. This is what you need first before you go looking for God in someone else. Somebody say God is love. God is love. Somebody say God is love. God is love. So here's some questions. Like if God sees all, how can love be blind? Or if I'm looking for a true love, does that mean I'm looking for a true God? If in fact God is love, or if God is love and this is true, how come we look up to find God but we fall into love? I mean, when we learn to separate the two, or if we make love, have we formed God inside the room? Is this the never before explained immaculate conception of God and intercourse of universes colliding, planet first, emitting bursts of energy so far beyond known to flesh and bone that we put it on a throne? I've only known love to be that powerful. So it changed everything, y'all. Even changed the way I pray. Like dear love, I guide you. Guide me as only you could. So many people run from you and mistreat the vessels in which you contain because they are told to fear God, which makes them fear love. So they go through life never being able to understand God, never being able to feel love. Even church told me to fear God and ask why, how do I love you and fear you at the same time? Didn't make sense. So I had to be born again. I mean, I have been dying to find you, and so many are dying to find you, and often we're too far gone. So far gone that we can't even see where God is anymore, and this is why we look for love in all the wrong places. So in hopes that everyone finds their one true God, in love's name I pray, amen. Amen.
So here's my big great poem. Everybody who knows me knows that I love titles. Yes. So here is the title to this poem. Ready? Yeah. Okay. Ways in which the bigger than me teaches me, a tiny human thing, the concept of specificity. Part 1. And the prayer probably sounded like, child making Christmas was simple. The prayer was probably thankfulness, genuine or otherwise, followed by a stark lamp on everything I want and haven't got. The prayer was probably capped off with guilt for even asking, but a reiteration of I want it, gimme, then bargaining for what I would get if I get all that I want. The prayer will probably sound trite to some, but it was exactly kind of like this. I am adored by my blood ones, cherished by my children, and I have gratitude for all of them. The ones who came and left, the people who stay and stay staying, but to be loved, to be for real loved. And then I probably rubbed a lamp or said amen or something. And then the day happens, right? Where you go about seeking but not looking for. One is better than the other, trust me. And then while I'm at Walmart, getting ready for art class, in the self-checkout line, buying supplies, a pair of copulating bugs, they call them fuck bugs down south, crashed into my face. Into my face, y'all. Which naturally led to a silent scream fest followed by a SWAT flu session. One that had to make anyone who saw it weep with laughter. One that ended with the two busy bugs landing in my open purse. I scooped them out, paid, left, hoping there isn't videotape evidence of this. There is definitely videotape evidence of this. 2. I woke up this morning mooning a prayer, and the prayer probably sounded like, why am I not good enough for love? Why does everyone I know get a second and third and fourth chance at admiration or affection or attention romantic from all the other human beings on the planet Earth? Why am I invisible to sexual attention? Not enough flirt. Too much or not enough? Why am I so unlovable? The prayer probably sounded like, why can't I fall in love? But then, love fell on me. And this, I think, is how the universe teaches me specificity. Be careful for what you ask for, Angelique. So now the prayer sounds like, send me your best. Ready and willing, and I will love them like I love those love bugs, enough to set them free in spite of their diligence and spirit awareness for anything in their surroundings. I will love them. Send me your best. And I will love them like I love the lesson they taught me, into a gentle testament to survival. Send me your best. And I will love them like I love myself, into my favorite story to tell. Send me your best and make them be ready for me.